Welcome everyone to the Orama network introduction. In this video, we're going to take a look on what is Orama network, because many of you have watched our X Spaces with the Anyone team, you have watched our posts, and you are inside our Telegram group, and you've heard a lot of things about the Orama network, and as you can see in the website as well, it says that it is a peer-to-peer decentralized development ecosystem, but today we're going to take a look what it actually is, and we have created as well a platform just for this use case, so you can test it yourself, clone it locally, and see what the new alternative to AWS and GCP is really all about. To start things, first of all, you can go to our Orama Network website, and here you can find all of the information that you need about the Orama network, but because this video is mostly for developers, you can check out our playground section. And by clicking on the playground section, it will take you to playground.orama.network, which is a website that we created specifically to make you understand what is the Orama network. To start things off, the first thing that you can see right here is the Experience Zero Ops infrastructure. And one of the main purposes and goals of Orama Network is actually to remove completely from the developer's mind anything regarding DevOps and server and infrastructure. If we compare it to traditional AWS architecture, where you need to have a lot of knowledge about DevOps, and you need a lot of time to set up everything, deploying your VPCs, setting up your policies, configuring security groups. Then you have your database, you have your caching layer if you have one, and all of these different things. You need to set them up individually. And if not individually, you are using something like Terraform. All of these different infrastructure and all of these different services require you to have a lot of DevOps knowledge. And not only it costs you a lot, it takes a lot of time to actually deploy everything, and you have a lot of configuration files. What we have done with Orama Network is something really unique, because not only we remove all of these different configuration files and all of this setup time, but you don't need any DevOps knowledge at all. You just use an SDK and you import the Orama Network client, and that's it. You have your API key and your gateway IP. And here, everything is distributed and secure out of the box, because all of the code is actually open source, and you can find it on our official GitHub page. Orama Network, it has an alternative to traditional databases, Arculite, which is a distributed SQL database. And we want to keep all of our services distributed. So we're using Arculite for our database. We're using Ulrich for our caching layer, something to replace Redis. We're using libpeer-to-peer for our event bus. We're using IPFS for our file storage, something very similar to S3, but completely decentralized. And we're using serverless functions as well. For now, we only support Go, which compiles to WebAssembly, and they are uploaded on the network. Last but not least, we have the Anyone protocol, which is our privacy proxy. It basically routes all of your traffic through a layer of nodes, so your IP stays hidden and your customer's location or IP stays hidden as well. The biggest difference with AWS, it's not only the setup time, which is completely minimal, because I'm going to show you in a second that it's very easy to run Orama Network, but the monthly costs are, with a free tier and with a subscription based, super low. For now, because we are in beta testing, we only have a free tier, and you can only try the Orama Network locally, but in the future we will have a subscription which will be less expensive than AWS or GCP, and we don't have any configuration files. We do actually, but all of the configuration files are generated automatically, so you don't have to do anything. And you don't need any DevOps knowledge. So let's start exploring. As you can see here, we have a bunch of different services, and you can go to this website right now. And let's scroll a bit down. In order to install Orama Network locally, you need to go to the prerequisites section. And you need Go, RQLite, Ulrich, Make, TinyGo, IPFS, and the Anyone client. And we have specific instructions how to install everything on macOS or Linux. Windows is not supported for now, but we are planning to add Windows support in the future as well. Each section that you finish, you mark it as done, and if you have any questions, you can ask our AI assistant, which is trained to help you to install Orama Network. After you have installed everything, you need to git clone the repository, and then, as we can see in the terminal right here, after we have git cloned, we can either run make build, which builds all of the binaries. It only takes a few seconds, or you can run make dev. What make dev does? Let's compare it to AWS for a second. When you run make dev, it actually runs all of the different services that we've seen before. It runs your database, your caching layer, your lib peer-to-peer, IPFS, basically everything. And it not only runs them, but it starts 5 different nodes on your local environment. Let's go on the connect section. Let's take a look at the code, for example. You just import from the network TS SDK, which you will be able to find on our official GitHub page as well. You import the network client. And on the network client, you set your gateway, you set your API key, which I'm going to show you in a second how to get, and then you set the default namespace. That's how you have access on all of these different services. You don't need any configurations like AWS that are complex and hard to understand, or any Terraform configuration. In order to get your API key, you have to run this command. So let's copy the API key and let's go back to the terminal and let's run the command. We choose local node for now because we're on local development, and you need to enter an EVM wallet address. So I will enter mine here. I will press enter for the default namespace, and then boom, I get my API key. Let's go back on the website. Let's go to the connect section and let's enter the API key and let's press connect. As you can see, we're connected on our 5 nodes that are running locally. So if you've done all of the previous steps correctly, downloaded all of the prerequisites and run make dev to start the Orama network, then you can enter your API key and connect to all of the different nodes. Let's go a bit more down. Right now we have RQLite, which is our distributed database, and it distributes all of the data to 5 different nodes. In here, as you can see, we can use the SDK to actually create tables. And I know right now you have to run raw SQL in order to run the commands, but in the future we are planning to add an ORM style SDK, which is much more easier to run these commands. Let's create a table users. It has replicated, and then we can insert data very easily and very simple. Execute. It replicates the data. And then we can query the data with client DB query. Select everything from users, and then it queries the data. It's the same thing with Ulrich, our Redis alternative. We can store data there, we can get data from there, and we can delete data, all through the simple Orama Network SDK. Serverless functions is something really interesting because you can create your own backend-like infrastructure and run server code directly on the network. Right here, we have an example function, and we can deploy it through the SDK, of course, and we can invoke the function by calling it. I have to say here that all of the code for the serverless functions is stored on IPFS, which is our decentralized storage. We're going to take a look on lib peer-to-peer in a second. On IPFS, you can store basically anything. You can upload any type of file and it will replicate on all of the nodes. I have to say here, you can have more than 5 nodes. In local development, we test everything with 5 nodes, but you can have 10 or 20 or 50 nodes. You choose a number. And you can upload any type of file, image, video, attachment, anything on IPFS. And it is distributed. We have our real-time events as well. Let's say you want to create a chat. What you do is you can subscribe to events. And when you subscribe to events, then you can publish to events. Let's say, hi. So we have published an event and we are broadcasting right now on all of the different nodes. And other people can subscribe to our events and reply. And we have to solve the Anywhere protocol as well. Internally in the network, we have built-in functionality for anyone. So if you want to proxy any request through the Anywhere protocol, you just call the proxy method with fetch. Let's fetch our IP to see where we are right now in the world. And it says Frankfurt, Germany. We are definitely not in Frankfurt, Germany, but because we route all of the requests to the N1 protocol, that's what it says. Let's wrap things up. Orama network right now is in beta testing, and you can find all of the code open source on GitHub. We have still a lot of functionalities that are under development that you can find on our roadmap on the official website, but yet it is a strong alternative, although it is very early, to AWS and all of the traditional cloud. Not only because it is open source, but it is decentralized first. And I know a lot of companies try to create many different frameworks to store data and replace their traditional infrastructure with Web3 technologies. But Web3 technologies, because they have transactions, they are not so easy to use and they are a lot more expensive. That's why we built Orama Network. It's really cheap, and I have to say here, Orama Network is currently tested on live production. Ansat.io is entirely built on top of Orama Network. Ansat is a social chat. It's currently on test flight and it's going to be released very soon for all NFT holders on external testing on test flight. So we want to test Orama Network on real production environments with real people and benchmark it. Thanks for watching and follow us on our official X account and join our Telegram group.